I think CTV has an edge in performance advertising in part because you're reaching an audience that's very leaned in to the experience. It's very immersive, right? So there's an opportunity to engage a lot more with the experience. The creative itself, from an advertiser perspective, from an advertising perspective, is more immersive. Is obviously more memorable a lot of times than it is in other environments. I also think it's sort of interesting that you get to reach the more than one member of a household, right? When we're on our phones and just looking at an ad, it's just us, right? And who knows if somebody else in our household has been reached and if there starts to be conversation around the dinner table or what have you. So I think there's a level of influence that happens because of that, and influencing each other and among friends and family, which is not a small thing, I think. And then the final piece, I think, is just the growth of CTV as a channel has been so rapid that I think we see so much potential in just figuring out what works and what doesn't work as well, and trying it as a unique platform. I think there will be some interesting challenges to come, but we can probably get to that later.
So where is collaboration right now across supply, demand, and data? Is it getting closer, or in terms of collaboration, or is there still ways to go? How do you reach that full potential?
I think we've had collaboration in fits and starts in the entirety of the advertising space. There's been so much innovation over the years, so many new kinds of solutions, new kinds of companies entering the space that that it's almost hard to keep up with it all and to even know who to collaborate with. So actually, in my prior role, I ran a consultancy for a couple of years, and we released a study, or really a report, to suggest that you really need to step back and think about your own data strategy first. And I would argue that most companies have not thought through their data strategies adequately at this point. What are your assets in terms of the data you have? What are the third-party and second-party data assets that you need to augment what you have? And then move on to how am I going to connect those assets? And what are the different partners and technologies and solutions that can help with that? Identity resolution is a huge thing in all of advertising, and quite important in connected TV. And I think it moves on to clean rooms. It moves on to different measurement solutions. There's just there's so many different providers to consider. And I think it ends with selecting the right partners that will augment what you have in-house, will augment what you need to what you think you need to build as either an advertiser or even an agency or a publisher. What are the assets you have? Where do you need to augment? And I think a lot of data collaboration is really critical there, which is actually why I joined Snowflake, because I think this company is in a really interesting position to help connect different data in a very private, secure, controlled way.
Talk to me a little bit about household level targeting on CTV. What can the industry do better to move forward?
I think household targeting is one that has been interesting for me to get my arms around, actually, just given my past is, my history in 20 plus years in digital advertising has been, early in programmatic, very, very individual ID focused. So thinking in terms of households has almost been like a break my brain sort of exercise. I think we have companies that have access to household data. We have individual data, and I think the nature of identity resolution across the two has become certainly more sophisticated. That it's not probably where it needs to be to make it really effective and actually ensure that there are consistent practices and consistent adherence to privacy and consumer concerns. I think that's some of what we really need to facilitate more effectively.
There's a lot going on in the TV space in terms of immersive experiences. How do advertisers balance those immersive ad experiences with performance goals?
I think the immersive experiences and the investment that they require, which of course is perhaps smaller with AI and AI-enabled creative, but still significant. I think you need to be evaluating on a creative by creative basis and a person by person basis to the extent that or household basis that you're targeting, what's effective, what's not, and if you use longer look back windows, for example, to understand that an ad that maybe someone saw a month ago actually did help sell a car, right, or what have you. I think there's actually been an interesting move to longer look back windows. There's been a move to a more advanced way to incrementality, and how do I actually assess the overall impact of a pretty large scale ad campaign in a geographic area or what have you.
And how are you seeing Snowflake playing a role in improving measurement and brand safety?
I think it comes back to overall being a data hub, being the AI data cloud is kind of how we talk about it, as a connector of all of those disparate data sources. The data can be any kind of data, really, right? And for brand safety, that may mean it's log level data that allows an advertiser and a publisher to kind of work essentially in harmony, connecting that data potentially in a clean room even where they don't need to expose too much to each other, but collaborating on that data set to understand, was an ad exposed in an environment that the advertiser didn't like, or what can the publisher do to make for a more brand safe environment. And I think the measurement front is even more interesting, because it's evolving so quickly and becoming more complex actually in connected TV than I think it's going to become significantly more complex than it has been because of privacy considerations. That's as connected TV evolves, it's not. We've seen this movie before. It's not going to be just up and to the right in terms of increased addressability, increased household level data, increased individual level data. There are going to be bumps along the way, and to the extent that you can engage between different parties who have different disparate data sets and actually connect them in, again, a private and secure way, there's a real opportunity there to learn what you need to for measurement without sort of violating any privacy considerations or data protection and intellectual property considerations. So I think there's a huge opportunity there.